Welcome. Thank you everyone for joining us. I am excited to do this live today. Please let me know where you are tuning in from. If you are watching live on Facebook, just put in the comments where you're tuning in from. And if you are on our Zoom meeting, please put in the chat where you're tuning in from. So I am Dr. Jessica Chung, founder of the International Business Association for Nurses, where we help nursing and healthcare professionals become entrepreneurs. And I am excited to have our guest today who is joining us. We are going to do a Q&A session about from the perspective of a Medspa owner. So we have with us Dr. Archie, who is founder of Fresh Med Spa here in the Tampa, Florida area. And she has been so kind to grace us with her presence today to do a Q&A. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit more about Dr. Archie, and then we will go ahead and ask some questions that you guys have about the med spa and wellness industry. So a little bit about Dr. Archie. She is a DNP, a family nurse practitioner board certified with over 19 years of clinical experience. She was born in Jamaica, raised in Canada, and now resides in Florida. She completed her undergraduate, master's, and doctoral degree at the University of South Florida. She has practiced in a variety of healthcare settings, performing wellness examinations, acute and chronic illness, and also teaching as an adjunct instructor at the University of South Florida. Prior to her nurse practitioner career, Dr. Archie worked for over 6 years in acute care neuroscience unit at a level 1 trauma hospital in Tampa, Florida. Dr. Archie possesses the clinical experience in educational preparation and training for a variety of aesthetic treatments and procedures. Her goal is to holistically meet the needs of clients, establish lasting relationships, and empower clients to look and feel their best. Thank you so much, Dr. Archie, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Chung. It is a pleasure being here, and I'm super excited for these questions.
Awesome. So anything you want to add that we don't know about you? I read in your wonderful short bio.
I would just say that I'm really a happy-go-lucky person. I enjoy having fun outside of work, and I just love the med spa industry.
Awesome. Awesome. So we are going to get right into it, and I'm just going to make sure our feed is good on Facebook. Just double check here. So as I do this, for those of you who don't know or don't follow me on Instagram, I am one of Dr. Archie's clients. I'm happily one of her clients. So, and not only that, she has been a part of my program, but I just love her presence. I love her work ethic. And so what I wanted to do is she was one of the best people for me to do this Q&A session, because I have seen her literally do this from start to now. And so I've seen her journey, and I'm really hoping that all of you will be inspired. All right, so Dr. Archie, we're going to get into it. So first question is, what led you into the medical aesthetics and wellness industry?
Well, I've always had a passion for skincare because throughout my adolescence and adulthood, I have struggled with acne, even today as we speak. So I've always had an interest in skincare. And then also being a nurse first and then a nurse practitioner, I have taken a kind or keen need in taking care of people. And it's something that I just always knew that I wanted to do, but I knew that it would require a lot of time for me. And, I wanted to make sure I had time to spend with my family. So now that my son turned 18 and he's kind of doing his own thing in school, I really decided that this was now the time for me to focus on my dream.
Awesome. And when did you decide to start your own med spa, and how did you go about accomplishing that?
Well, it definitely has been a journey. So initially, I decided that I wanted to start my own med spa back in 2018. And by deciding that, I started working more hours at work and started saving because I wanted to start my practice without acquiring any loans. So that decision process started in 2018. And then in 2019, I started taking a variety of aesthetic procedural courses so that I could learn a little bit more about the industry itself. And then in 2020, in the midst of COVID, I decided that, I wanted to really accelerate the process and plan a date to launch my practice. And by doing so, I acquired a business coach. Thank you, Dr. Chung. And I really feel like, your coaching and mentorship has really held me accountable, and it propelled me to really accomplish the goal of opening a brick and mortar. I mean, your program really streamlined, organized a variety of tasks, and provided me with the essential tools, almost like hand holding, from business structure, registering my business with the state and county, and even nuances of a practice that I had no idea about. So I really think that, just being in your program really helped me tremendously. So my journey began 2018, and then in January of 2021 was when I actually opened my practice office.
So that's amazing. And you're coming up on 2 years. And so when you go back and you think about you actually starting this journey at the height of the pandemic, did you receive negative reaction to that? Or even yourself, did you stop and like ask yourself, what are you doing here? Well, how did you go about moving forward during that season?
Well, so, I really did not disclose what I was going to be doing to anyone, not my friends, my colleagues. The only people that knew that I had an inkling that I was going to be starting this journey was my husband, and of course, my immediate family, like my kids in the household and my mom. No one really said to me, "You are crazy. This is not attainable." I really had a lot of support, and I felt like that was very critical in my decision-making process. And I felt like if I really had outside influences, I probably wouldn't have started at that time because a lot of places were closed, and, it was panic mode for all of us. So just having that core support and keeping it private, and, acquiring the necessary tools and people in my circle to help propel me.
Absolutely. And share with us, how does a med spa different from a traditional medical clinic and a traditional spa? So being that you have worked in traditional healthcare settings, and now you have a med spa, which is shortened from medical spa, how can people understand the difference between a traditional clinic and a med spa, and a traditional spa and a med spa?
Okay, so for me, a traditional medical clinic, you are treating acute and chronic conditions. And then in a traditional spa, like a day spa, I really believe that they're providing services to pamper you, like massage therapy, aromatherapy, providing facials to improve your skin. And as it relates to a medical or a med spa, it's really the combination of both the traditional medical clinic and a day spa, because you are the professional within that medical realm, and you're still assessing, diagnosing, and treating conditions as you're seeing your clients or patients coming in, whether you're doing anti-aging treatments or, treating someone's acne. That is still an acute or a chronic condition, but then, in more of an inviting environment, I would say. So it's a combination of the two.
Awesome. And tell us, what is your day-to-day operation like?
That's a pretty loaded question, but I'll start off by saying, my day kind of begins from home. I get up at about 6 in the morning, get my little doggy out for a walk, do some exercise, meditation. I get to my office around 10 a.m. and I will meet with my business manager. And during our 15-minute collaboratory meeting, we kind of go over our goals for the day, tasks that we want to accomplish throughout the day, just really setting that plan and foundation. Then after that, I review my schedule of clients that I have set up for the day, and I organize my rooms based on the treatments that I'll be performing. And in between patients, I do callbacks, and the callbacks are really for like clients where I've performed a procedure and they've not had that procedure before, or it's something really invasive and I want to ensure that they're doing okay. If they have any questions, I can answer that. Then I do a little charting, review some emails, and if I can get a quick snack in, I'll do that. Then I go back to seeing more patients. In between that, I try to sneak a little social media content, like grab a quick video, something that I can have to edit later on in the day, or something that I can give my business manager to help me work on. My day typically ends, or I end seeing patients around 6 to 6:30 p.m. And even after I'm closed, I am still, finishing up admin tasks before I leave, checking inventory and replenishing anything that I've utilized. And then we kind of do a quick cleanup. I head home, have dinner with family, and take a shower, bath, whatever the case may be, and review some information, something educational. So it
Awesome.
makes for a long day.
Okay, definitely. And so if you, in your experience, whether you actually experienced this or not, or how you were trained to prepare for this, what happens in the case of when things go unplanned in a med spa? So a med spa is very much still medical. And so you still have to, plan for things. And so are there emergencies that come up? Urgent things, reactions? Are these things that you still have to stay educated and trained on, being a med spa owner and offering aesthetics and wellness services?
Absolutely. I do training and shadowing here for providers who are already in the field or interested in being in aesthetics. And I tell them, from day one, although we provide a lot of cosmetic or aesthetic procedures, it is still a medical practice. And, if you are having an emergency event, you really need to have protocols in place to ameliorate those situations and know how to react, just as if you were in a clinic, urgent care, or ER setting. And I feel like it's very important within the field, no matter what field that you're in, that you're really staying abreast of technology, evidence-based research, treatment guidelines. And in this industry, there's no difference. It's imperative to keep up with the standards, procedures, and continuing education for me never stops. I mean, I spend anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes a night reviewing educational videos, reading research articles, and quarterly I attend virtual or in-person training because I want to keep up with my knowledge, keep up with my skills. In essence, it's continuing education. Things change so much, and you have to be prepared for your patient to provide them with the best possible outcomes. Whenever you're treating a client with any service, even if it's from a typical facial, someone can have an adverse reaction, maybe an allergic reaction to a product. We never know who's allergic to what unless they've been exposed to it or had some sort of an allergy testing done. So it is critical to stay abreast of research technology so that you can treat your clients appropriately in an adverse reaction.
Yes, that's really good, important information. And so that brings me to another question: is how much of the patient's general medical history must be taken into account and obtained prior to performing any aesthetic service, body service, infusion? How much should we know, and how much should we be obtaining in a history and doing a physical exam prior to offering these types of services?
So we should know everything. I mean, everything. I want to know when you were born. I want to know what you ate last night, what you put on your face yesterday. We need to know everything. A lot of times I'll get clients coming in and they may be coming in for a simple vitamin injection. To them, it may sound simple, but to me, that encompasses so much. My questionnaire for their coming in is very extensive. I want to know, are you allergic to anything? Are you on any prescribed medications? Have you been hospitalized? Are you currently being treated for any chronic or acute medical conditions? I mean, my history is very extensive and I do perform a thorough physical examination of, the area that I'm treating and also based on what they're coming in for. So it is very important.
Absolutely. All right. And so you answered this question probably a few times already, but we'll formally ask, how often do you attend training to stay up to date with education and skills?
Every quarter, at least. I mean, I spent tens of thousands of dollars this year alone on training. And, for everyone, it may be a little bit different. I not only rely on paid trainings, but even for my reps that offer different cosmeceuticals here or my Botox fillers, they also have educational information on the portal that I review, research documentation. I even watch videos on something called Patreon, which is a training platform of colleagues that provide insights on things that they are doing or seeing in the industry. So my learning is continuous daily.
Absolutely. And if you had to say, as far as with the training that you receive formally, going to a training event, doing online training, how much does that training prepare you to perform these procedures hands-on?
So, I mean, each training is going to be very different. So when you're attending a training, you want to look at one, what is the objective of that course? What is the target audience? Is it for beginner, intermediate, advanced? And kind of determine where you lie within that realm. Are you just getting into the industry? Because sometimes if you're going in for a training, you're just in the industry or beginner, novice, and you're going to an advanced course, a lot of that information may go over your head. And sometimes, it takes several times for information to become embedded within your brain, So you really want to make sure that you're finding appropriate training based on your level in the industry to make sure that you can kind of grasp the information and also that you're continuing that process. One training alone will not cover you for everything. It's going to be that repetitive training in nature that's going to really ingrain it.
Absolutely. And should nurse practitioners and nurses consider formal esthetician training if they want to offer aesthetic services?
Absolutely. Nurse practitioners should definitely receive some sort of formal training for the services that they're providing and, treating their clients and implementing certain services. I think that this is beneficial not only for patient safety, but also for the protection of your licensure. Not to mention, most insurance companies, if you are trying to acquire malpractice insurance, they will ask you for a copy of formal training or certification that you've received or partaken in, based on the services that you're providing or the treatments that you're offering. So it's definitely, I would say, imperative to not just consider, but to definitely, engage in formal training.
Absolutely. And What are, in your opinion, what are the most profitable services to offer in a med spa or wellness clinic?
So for me, this is kind of a challenging question because, something that may be profitable for me may not be profitable for someone else. So I think when you're thinking about profitability, you want to think about, well, what area are you in?
Mhm.
What audience are you treating, or what type of population you're treating? And that will kind of determine, based on market research, what would be profitable for you. So for me, it's said in the aesthetic industry that your neuromodulators or Botox and dermal fillers are your bread and butter, but that's not necessarily the case for me. My high income generating services include PDO thread lifts, which are polydiaxonone absorbable sutures that create a lift in the tissue. Also microneedling, that is a big income generator for me. And then finally, I would say laser hair removal. And as far as laser hair removal is concerned, that does require you to have a machine. And I would say to anyone, before incorporating any type of device or machinery into your practice, you want to make sure that, is there a need for it? Like before I decided to offer laser hair removal, I had clients asking for it. So there was a demand. And you also want to think about, these machines can be quite costly. So based on your purchase price or your lease price, are you going to be able to afford to make those payments and still generate income after you've made that payment? So it's really a lot to think about when you're incorporating services and profitability for those services.
Yes, definitely important as far as think about, if you want to offer a service, what is it going to cost you to offer that service? And the cost may not be profitable for you as far as offering that service. So you may want to start with services that have a low cost for you, expenses. And then as you grow and increase and expand, you can invest in other equipment and tools to provide other services.
I
Okay.
agree.
And what advice do you have for someone starting a med spa or any other type of clinic as far as they're just starting, or maybe they're thinking about starting? What is two things that you advise them to do?
Well, the two things would be really have a clear vision of what you want your practice to entail. Like, how do you differentiate? How will you differentiate yourself from another practice, and what will you be known for? And the second thing would be really think about how you're going to legally protect yourself and your practice. So just having that vision and legally protecting yourself.
I totally agree. Absolutely. In regards to legal protection. And have you experienced any setbacks or challenges being an advanced nursing professional in the industry?
I wouldn't necessarily say setback, but I would say some challenges. As an advanced practice nurse, I have had clients come in and question whether I'm capable of performing a certain procedure, or if I'm even knowledgeable enough about the services that I provide, because I'm not a dermatologist or a plastic surgeon. And, the way that I do overcome these challenges is by ensuring that I obtain a thorough history, perform a comprehensive physical examination, formulate a treatment plan that's geared to their aesthetic goals, and also address some of the concerns that I may identify while examining them, and also educating them thoroughly about the procedure itself or the treatment. I do explain the risks, the benefits, alternatives of the treatment, and just letting them know that, I have many training behind me. I'm knowledgeable about this service that I'm providing, to kind of remove any stigma associated with my profession.
Absolutely. That's really good. And how much has social media been a part of your building up your business, your practice? And I follow you on social media, so I know what you're capable of. Everyone sees this nice poise, Dr. Archie, and she is. But if you go to her social media, you will see another side of her. So, how much has social media impacted your business? And in regards to even getting clients, maintaining patient privacy, but also showing before and after of your work and your services. So, how much has that helped you in using social media?
Well, I feel like, prior to getting into this industry, I used to be a watcher. So I was definitely always on Instagram, Facebook, but I would only watch. I might like a comment or two, but anything that was ever posted on my page was because someone tagged me in it. But now, being in the industry, it is imperative to have some sort of social media. Network. So for me, TikTok is hilarious, but I have acquired so many clients from TikTok. They come from across the nation for certain services that I'm providing. A lot of the things that I do, it may be funny, but I do try to provide some educational tidbits in it when I'm having those TikToks and Instagram reels. So it has made a difference in my practice. As far as posting before and afters, I do have consents in my office that I have my clients sign. And if they are okay, we receive permission from them before posting any before and afters. So I do try to respect privacy before doing that. But it's very important, even if you get a verbal consent, to have it in writing as well. So that is a part of our sign-in process with some of the documentations that I have my clients complete prior to posting anything. And having those before and afters make a difference. I know when I'm seeking out any type of treatment procedure, I go on to whether it's that person's website, their social media handle, and look to see, what are they doing? What are they providing? And that sounds very crazy, because back in the day, people weren't really doing that. So now we are not only looking for word of mouth opinion of who to go to, but we're going directly to their social media to see who are they, what are they offering, are people even liking them, and giving their opinion about the services that they're providing. So it's been very beneficial in my practice.
Awesome. So one question that I see that we get a lot, even within the Collaborative Physician Network, we help to match people with plastic surgeons and dermatologists as far as state requirements for providing aesthetic services. And so without, obviously you don't have to share your numbers or your type of agreement, but what can you say to someone who definitely wants to start their med spa, has to meet their state requirement, but the physician is charging a lot, or what they see, what they perceive to be a lot of money? How can someone, what's the best way someone can weigh their options in regards to, starting out with a physician? It may seem like a hefty fee and getting it done, or spending time waiting and possibly never seeing anything come out of their efforts because of not finding a physician that will charge a lower fee. What could you say about that?
So, I mean, I think that is challenging for most because within the med spa industry, you have to have either a plastic surgeon or a dermatologist as your collaborator. Unless you have a medical director that works within your facility, then that's a different story. So, and you really can't perform anything without having a collaborator or a medical director. And oftentimes the rates can be very competitive. So it's really trying to do some market research to see, what's the low end, what's the high end, and can, you negotiate a rate in the middle somewhere. Another thing that you can do is, Dr. Chung does offer collaborative services for physicians, but you can also go on Facebook and look in different groups and ask around within those groups for your peers and see, well, hey, if you're in the med spa industry, do you have a collaborator and are you comfortable sharing what you currently pay? Most oftentimes they are okay because you're a colleague. Everyone, most people want people to succeed. So asking a colleague what they're currently paying so that you can kind of have a general idea of what that standard is and, seek some, collaborator if you can find one that will agree to that amount.
Yeah, yeah. And then what we also have to realize as nursing professionals, the physicians are taking a risk with overseeing or working with you, collaborating with you. So you have to realize, to be honest, the fees that they may request really don't even cover the risk that they are taking on. So that's one thing you have to be aware of. And that's why, as Dr. Archie mentioned, a lot of times you want to have the appropriate training and education and skills to perform these services, because God forbid something goes haywire. You have to report it to your medical director or your collaborative physician, and then they are, they're at risk, so then what happens? So you have to ask yourself, is $500 worth that risk even to you? So maybe if a physician is requesting more, or they want to increase it after a couple of months, it's definitely, they have to consider their risk. So those are some things you definitely want to consider when you're getting into the med spa or any industry, as far as if you need a medical director or a collaborative physician, that you have to consider the risk that they are taking on. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be bullied into paying, thousands and thousands of dollars, but you definitely want to talk to that medical director. You definitely want to explain to them that you're starting out, and then maybe they would consider doing a lower rate for some time, as until you increase your client base, and you are able to adequately reimburse them for their services. So with that said, if you have to weigh your options. Do you continue to wait and on your dream and put it on hold because of a fee, or do you pay a fee and then you can get things going and start seeing a profit, start generating revenue? So that's definitely something you want to consider. All right, so let's see if we have any other questions for Dr. Archie. I'm gonna look in the chat and on Facebook. So someone asked about staff policies and procedures. So did you create your own policies and procedures? Did you use a template for your staff? How did you come about having or creating a policy and procedure if it's required for you?
So I actually started off using a template for my policy and procedures. And even if you purchase one from an outside source or use a template, nothing is going to be exactly the way it needs to be that will fit your practice. It's something that's going to be ever changing, ongoing, based on things that you're seeing within your practice. But having a stencil is definitely beneficial because it helps to streamline things in the event that you're hiring new staff, the way that the business needs to operate from the front end, the middle, and the back end. So having those policies and procedures in place is essential, but it's something that you'll have to augment as you go along and as you learn things and as things change within your practice and as it grows.
Absolutely. And at what point did you determine that this was something that you definitely would need a team, whether that's a one person? So of course you started the process alone, but did you immediately bring on a team, or was that something you gradually did as you launched your business?
So initially, it started off as a 1.5 man show. So I have a front office personnel. She's my business manager now. And then as I started to grow, acquiring more clients, then I realized that I needed a marketing team. Then I realized that I needed an assistant, so a virtual assistant to help with a lot of the admin tasks that I'm facing. And now I've realized that I now need an esthetician that's going to help me with more of the skincare concerns that my clients may have. So as you start to expand and you're getting more busy to the point where you're like, oh my, you're now being exhausted, overwhelmed with all the things that you want to do but can't do because of the time constraints, then you may need to start thinking about adding to your team.
Absolutely. And we're going to wrap this up with, tell us about the Fresh Academy. I don't know if you officially launched, but tell us more about that.
So Fresh Academy has officially launched. Currently, I offer in-house shadowing for people who aren't necessarily in aesthetics, but may be curious or wanting to be in aesthetics, or even if they are in aesthetics, it really helps to just show the day-to-day operations. There's a business component that can be added on to that. So everything that I do in the room, how do I perform a comprehensive consultation? What products do I use based on the client's concerns and what I'm addressing? What do I talk to them about as far as follow-up, risk, home care? All of those things are incorporated within the in-person shadowing. Also, I do training. So if you, no matter what level you are in your career, this is for someone that is already in the aesthetic industry and maybe they want to learn how to do advanced lip filler techniques. I can either come to you or you can come to me. And just really go over anatomy and physiology, because that is so critical. It's not just about the procedure of injecting a lip. There is so much more behind it that goes through our brain before even touching the patient. So, and then the final part of Fresh Academy is having online aesthetic courses. So that is in the works. And that's something that it's on my plate right now that I'm working on.
Awesome. That's awesome. And congratulations of the launch of the
Thank
Fresh
you.
Academy. So if anyone has more questions about joining the med spa industry, the wellness industry, how can they reach out to you? How can they contact you?
Sure. So first and foremost, you can visit www.freshmedspa.com and hit the training tab. So that's FRAICHE medspa.com. Or you can email us at training@freshacademy.com. And then we can give
Awesome.
you some more information.
Yes. And if you are visiting the Tampa Bay area, you could definitely, of course, call and contact first, but maybe Dr. Archie would love to have you there, give you a tour. Her facility is beautiful. And stay tuned. We are working on a project. So I have Dr. Archie collaborating with me. So next year, we are working on the aesthetics and IV hydration skills workshop. We have not officially launched a promotion yet. We're kind of doing a soft launch. So if you're interested, the link will be in the comments as well as in the chat if you're on Zoom. So it's www.aestheticsandivhydration.skills.com. You can join the interest list so we can notify you on when we launch the live workshop. So it will be a live full day hands-on and demonstration workshop. And so you can meet me and Dr. Archie there. Dr. Archie, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to see you. I probably need to make my appointment. I'm probably overdue, so I definitely need to see you in person. But thank you so much for joining us. It was wonderful having you.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure and an honor, my mentor. Thank
Oh,
you.
I love you. Thank you. All right,
Thank
everyone.
you.
If you have questions, if for some reason we missed your question, just direct message us at the International Business Association for Nurses on our Facebook page or email, and we will be happy to forward that question. If you have a specific question for Dr. Archie, or if you have a question about the skills workshop or the Med Spa business startup course, please feel free to reach out and we will be happy to help you. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.